Hello, welcome to Scaremongeristan episode 1. Here I'll be debunking popular pseudoscientific myths about food. Let's dive straight in.
हाँ जी बताइए क्या प्रॉब्लम है।
मुझे पिछले 2 साल से डायबिटीज है, सही नहीं हो रही, क्या करूं?
आप वीट और वीट से बनी हुई चीजें खाते हैं?
नहीं सर, अभी तो सिंपल दाल राइस और दही राइस खाता हूं।
एक काम कीजिए, कल से वीट शुरू कीजिए। वीट और वीट से बनी हुई सारी चीजें कल से खानी है, ठीक है
सर? लेकिन वीट,
मुझे पता है वीट कंटेन्स वीट ग्लूटेन, और वीट ग्लूटेन पैनक्रियाज को डैमेज करता रहता है। वो पैनक्रियाज के बीटा सेल्स को टारगेट करता रहता है और आपको परमानेंटली डायबिटिक रखता है।
I give this Patrick Stewart and Prabhu. Let's ignore the anti-doctor sentiment for a bit. India is a large country with a lot of poor people that do not have access to high quality modern medical care. So it is not surprising that these kind of negative sentiments about hospitals and pharma industry exist. But that aside, let's apply some high school biology knowledge to these claims. Gluten is protein found in wheat. A very small number of people have a condition where undigested gluten enters into the bloodstream in the gut and is met with an aggressive response from our body's immune system. And that causes inflammation. For these tiny minority of people, gluten-free products were created. There is zero evidence that consuming wheat is bad for anyone else. Secondly, gluten has absolutely nothing to do with the pancreas, where beta cells produce insulin. There is no biological pathway. It's like driving south from Chennai to Kanyakumari but expecting to reach Srinagar. Gluten is not considered to be a trigger for diabetes in scientific literature. On the contrary, in comparison to polished white rice, whole wheat atta is marginally better for people with diabetes, given that it has extra fiber that slows down sugar spikes. Sure, it's not good to trust anyone blindly, but for sure, don't trust influencers wearing doctors' uniforms and spreading unscientific fear-mongering at any time. Not just कलयुग।
बादाम और अखरोट जब आप खाते हो तो आपने देखा होगा कि आम जो जनता है उसको पानी में भिगाती है। ये बताओ कि बादाम और अखरोट को पानी में क्यों भिगाया जाता है? क्यों इसको भिगाने के पीछे जो कारण है बिल्कुल उसकी गर्मी नहीं है। इसके भिगाने के पीछे सबसे बड़ा कारण है इसमें एमिगडालिन नामक एक टॉक्सिन, एक जहरीला केमिकल पदार्थ होता है। जब हम उसको पानी में डालते हैं तो उसके जो टॉक्सिक सब्सटेंसेस होते हैं वो पानी में निकल आते हैं। इसकी वजह से कड़वापन उसका जो होता है वो भी कम हो जाता है।
I'm going to give this Keegan Michael Key. Actually, this is a good example of a video with mostly accurate knowledge, but still manages to miss the crucial point that results in it becoming needless scaremongering. So almonds, like the seeds of apples, have this enzyme called amygdalin, which when metabolized releases cyanide. This is a mechanism that the almond tree has evolved to protect its babies. In the past, people in India were consuming wild almonds. These came from the tropical almond tree. And yes, soaking those almonds removed water-soluble toxins like amygdalin, which is likely the origin of the practice of soaking almonds. So the crucial point this person is missing out is that today, we do not consume the almonds from the wild. Cultivated almonds are called sweet almonds, and they have little or no amygdalin to begin with because we have bred them that way. So all the almonds you buy in a store can be consumed without soaking. But yes, I'll still give him credit for digging into the actual science instead of just saying garam tasir or some such thing.
why is it that people who drink the most milk have the least calcium? Because the study was done in Yale. When you drink milk, it turns into acid in your stomach. If you had the enzyme to digest it, it would have digested the milk. Milk is lactose. You should have had an enzyme called lactase. You don't have lactase. Because you don't have a digestive, so we don't have the enzymes for milk. So this milk, because it cannot be digested, turns to acid, which is lactic acid. Now when it turns to acid, this body has to be pH neutral at all times. The blood has to be. मगर अगर तेजाब बन गया तो आपके शरीर में तेजाब फैलेगा तो आप उसी वक्त so the body reacts like this. What it does is the stomach immediately takes the calcium out of your bones. Yes. And it throws it into the stomach so that alkaline mixes and neutralizes the acid. तो जितना ज़्यादा आप दूध पिएंगे उतना ही ज़्यादा कैल्शियम आपकी हड्डियों में नहीं है।
I have to give this Patrick Stewart, Conan O'Brien, and Prabhu. And a Ravana face palm, because one palm is just not enough. This is quite possibly the most stunning display of confident ignorance about how our bodies work. Let's start with the premise. People that drink the most milk have the least calcium? How? And Yale logo, but no study, because that study doesn't exist. Let's leave that aside. Milk turns into acid in the stomach. Actually, everything you eat is mixed with super strong hydrochloric acid produced by the stomach, not just milk. So I'm not really sure what it turns into acid means. Actually, when milk reaches the stomach, it curdles because of the acid and turns into early stage paneer. Don't believe me? Just see a baby's vomit. It will be curdled milk. Then she goes, we don't have lactase, the enzyme to digest milk. She is correct. We don't have lactase in the stomach. We have it in the small intestine. Of course, depending on your genetics, some people produce a lot of it and some produce less of it. This determines how easily you can digest milk. That acid she's speaking about, lactic acid, is not produced in the stomach. It is the product of fermenting lactose in the gut. And it is also produced when we do heavy exercise and our muscles get exhausted. It has nothing to do with the stomach. Milk is not just lactose. It's casein and whey protein and milk fat, in which fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, and E are dissolved. And then finally, she speaks about how our body's pH has to be neutral. That is almost correct. Blood pH is 7.35 to 7.45, just slightly on the alkaline side. But then the stuff she says next, that the stomach will pull calcium out of the bones to neutralize the lactic acid in the stomach.
No! God, please, no! No!
I have no idea what to say. I wish I could tell you that there is no biochemical pathway to pull calcium out of bones into the stomach. I wish I could tell you that the body's pH is very tightly regulated and that what you eat has no effect on it. And someone actually heard this audio, sat and made time-consuming fancy graphics, even misspelled lactic acid, and did not bother to do one Google search that would have debunked this entire thing. Here's an unsolicited suggestion to vegan activists. You are not going to convince people to reduce consumption of animal sources of food by using this kind of pseudoscientific bullshit. One extra Conan O'Brien for this.
Explaining the science of food and debunking pseudoscience is hard work. So I request you to consider becoming a member of this channel. Members get to be part of a private group that will work together to dig into the science of food in far more detail and also discover the true joy of food.